welcome all of you. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share this information with you. I have a lot of information I want to go through, and I will move through it relatively swiftly. I've been working with SLAs for probably more than 15 years at this point. And in the course of providing SLA seminars internationally and working with organizations to create SLAs and reviewing hundreds of them, I've noticed patterns of problems that lead to failure or flaws that could potentially lead to failure. And so I want to go through those with you. I still believe that an SLA is a mechanism that works and that can work. And so I'm going to try to help you succeed where perhaps others have not. So a place where we can start is what might be a provocative statement, that is that SLAs help you do things that you really ought to be doing anyway. In particular, SLAs help to maintain regular contact between parties. So it's not just getting together between provider and customer when there is a problem or a new project, but on a regular basis. They provide a context for communicating service offerings, which is sometimes a little bit fuzzy otherwise, for formulating service standards so customers know what they can reasonably expect. They provide a context for systematically assessing service effectiveness on an ongoing basis and for resolving service problems both quickly and amicably. In the ideal world, all of these things would be things that we would be doing all along, but an SLA helps with not being in an ideal world. It keeps us on track and ensures that these things happen. My working definition, and it's simply my working definition, it doesn't have to match yours, but it is one that I typically use, that it is a formal negotiated agreement designed to facilitate communication and manage expectations about these three kinds of things: the services, service levels, and service quality, responsibilities of each party, and what each party can do, the steps each party can take to ensure a successful relationship. Now, your definition does not need to match mine. What is important, I believe, is that you have a definition, because one of the things that makes SLAs difficult to move forward with is that parties to them do not understand, either don't understand what they're about and fear them, or that they have conflicting understandings of what an SLA is and what it is designed to accomplish. So I urge you to create your own working definition. And in fact, I've seen a couple of service level agreements that have a definition of service level agreements in its own glossary. It's kind of amusing, but it's also effective. Now, some SLAs fail and some are flawed. So let me say what I mean by these terms. An SLA has failed if it was never completed. And I have seen several instances of that. The people work hard. They do what they are trying to do, but they get stuck somewhere along the way. And let me suggest that if you make a good effort to create an SLA and word goes out that you are doing that and you don't succeed in completing it, you may end up being in a worse situation than before you started, because now expectations have been raised. It's also something that failed if it was put into operation but in some serious way didn't function as the customer or the provider had hoped. Those are serious. Flaw is less serious, and so I view an SLA as having flawed if it contains weaknesses, ambiguities, or gaps that could lead to serious problems or disputes. And as we go along, I'll be giving a few specific examples of service standards in actual SLAs that have potential flaws in them. So how to make an SLA fail, and this is basically the agenda for this session. It will fail if you do any of these things, and I'll be going through them one by one in quite a bit of detail. The first one is easiest, but before I even get to that, I want to mention that I have created a handout. This is a one-page sheet. If you make a note of this particular link, www.nskarten.com/SLA-webinar.pdf. It's a one-page sheet with a lot of links for you that will get you access to articles on SLAs, lists of benefits, lots of additional articles, as well as discounts on all of my books and my e-books. Thanks to my publishers, I'm able to do that. So I will also mention this link again at the end. So beginning with establish it for the wrong reasons, and this is really the easiest one to go through. I don't see this happening quite as much as I used to, but basically we have to think about what an SLA is not. It is not a get strategy. That is, you cannot use an SLA to get parties to do what they don't want to do. Well, you can sometimes get them to do it, but not without a lot of backlash. You can't use the SLA to force a change in behavior. Actually, if you try to accomplish that, the behavior that may result may be even worse than behavior that you may wish you could change. And it's not a complaint stifling mechanism. If there are complaints on the part of your customers, what's important is understanding the source and the nature of those complaints and working to resolve them. So you're not looking to stifle them, but to understand them. And yes, an SLA and the process of establishing an SLA can help with that. It's certainly not a unilateral decision-making process, and if you attempt to ram it through as such, it will not succeed. And it is not, although we might wish otherwise, it is not a quick fix to a troubled relationship. Yes, an SLA can help to improve a relationship. It can help dramatically, but it will not be quick, and it will not be a magical fix. So what is an SLA? Well, it's a communication tool. And if you've heard me give any presentations on this topic, you know how strongly I support this view. It's a tool that facilitates communication once it's in operation, but beyond that, it is also a tool that is valuable from a communication perspective while it is being created. It often facilitates the first opportunity for the parties to get together and really talk about their concerns in a way separate from their ongoing projects or problems. It's an expectation managing mechanism because it helps the parties understand what they can realistically expect from each other. As a result, it is a conflict reduction tool. It is a living document because it is managed, and that's one of the key things without which an SLA cannot succeed, and I'll be saying quite a bit more about that as we proceed. And it is an objective process for gauging service effectiveness. So if there is a service problem, it becomes not a situation of he said, she said, and finger-pointing and fault-finding, but an objective process for gauging what is happening and making improvements. So basically, create SLAs for the right reason, and I like to think of them as a means of fostering a collaborative relationship rather than a collaborative relationship. So that's a simple one. Step one is a simple one. Number two, arbitrarily rush the SLA effort. What often happens is that in their eagerness to create SLAs, people confuse the document with the process. You will not succeed if you view the SLA process of one that entails finding an SLA somewhere from some other organization or on the web, changing doing some cut and paste, basically, to customize it to your own organization and call it done. It will not succeed. There is a process because it is getting together, it's a communication, it's a negotiation. So let's look at this a little bit further, because common misconceptions that I frequently encounter are that creating an SLA, as I just mentioned, is a simple matter of plugging names and numbers into a template. It is not. It is much more than that. And that you can rush development without negative consequences because a negotiation cannot be rushed and be successful. Creating an effective SLA takes time. How much time does it take? I'm always asked this question. Well, I don't like being asked this question because there are no simple answers. So what I've come up with are what I call typical time frames. Now, when I go into an organization to help them establish service level agreements, management always wants to know how long will this take.